Today we are back on the MistersCraft SMP server, where in the last episode we made some great progress building out a super smelter, but today we have to face a bigger problem, and that is my storage situation, which over the last few weeks has grown out of control. I have chests spewing out everywhere and almost zero organization, so this cannot stand. So I can either build a brand new epic storage build to hold and organize all my items in, or I can just carry on and walk with my head in shame. But I think you know what I'm going to be doing, and that is to actually start building. But for that, I need a whole load of resources, in particular a lot of bamboo, to make use of all the new blocks and to craft up a whole load of chests. Currently I have this very small and super simple starter bamboo farm that uses bone meal, but it's just not going to cut it any longer, not without a lot of AFKing and expensive bone meal. So heading over to the service designated industrial district, I have a spot with plenty of space right next to the tree farm that Wolf recently built, where I can build a mega bamboo farm that should cover all of our needs. But as is the way to actually build a farm, I need a whole load of powered rails for the item collection system, which means in turn that I need a whole load of gold. So before I could actually get started with building this farm, I needed to make a small detour to make a quick gold farm design that I found from a tutorial from Geographer. And since we have access to the Nether roof, I found a perfect spot just above a Nether waste biome that should do the trick. With only a few missing resources that I needed to collect, I started off an adventure through into the Nether to find a load of magma blocks. I found loads in no time at all right next to the lava lakes, and with only a minor scare, I'd collected as much as I needed. From there, I stopped off really quickly into the mining desert to collect up some sand before then heading over to get it smelted up into glass. And from there, finally, I went off into a hunt in the wild for turtles, since for this particular gold farm design, I'd be needing some turtle eggs to lure in those zombie piglins. But as I struggled for a while to find any, I took a very quick moment to collect up some seagrass, ready for when I finally found the turtles to then breed them up for their eggs. Finally, I found a turtle on top of an acacia tree for some really odd reason. I also could have sworn it was possible to attach a lead to a turtle, but apparently not. So instead, I tempted a pair over by luring them over with the seagrass that I just found and then started breeding them. I waited around for the results, and before long some eggs were laid and I somehow managed to stumble onto them, crushing some in the process. Not perturbed by my big clumsy feet, I collected the rest that I needed and then returned over to the roof of the Nether and then started building. With the gold farm now fully complete, and initial AFK session done overnight, the storage was now completely full with all the golden nuggets I could ever possibly need. So I began to craft them up into ingots ready for a load of powered rails. From there, I made a quick pit stop over in the shopping district to buy some more firework rockets from Alex's shop, and then went to visit the end to repair up my elytra. With that now all out of the way, I was finally able to go on a crafting rampage to make up all the powered rails, stone bricks, dispensers and more that I'd be needing to be making this farm. I also set up this quick little system to collect up some glow lichen, since I'd be needing some for the collection system. And now that I had all the resources that I'd be needing for this mega bamboo farm that I'd pieced together using a standard flying machine design and Ilmango's amazing tileable minecart and loader circuit, I jumped on in and got building. Whilst we continue building, I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about my upcoming plans for this channel and where I'm at. Since starting this channel back in February this year as something of an experiment, I found that since then I've really enjoyed the realm of content creation. It's finally an outlet where I can really start to let my creativity grow wild. So I'm still planning to release a lot of content from the server, but very recently Errington from the Channel 64 SMP server actually reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in joining them. And after some careful consideration, I decided to accept, so I am super pumped to be joining such an awesome community of like-minded content creators, where I can finally start to challenge myself more to become a better creator and collaborate more with others. So I'm going to be getting very soon started with that, but for now let's get back to the farm. And as I planted in all the bamboo plants, it marked the completion of the bamboo farm. Some short AFKing later, I finally had all the many stacks of bamboo that I'd been needing for the epic build of this episode. This meant that I could finally then tear down the starter farm that I showed at the start of the episode. Next up, I started to clear out the initial space that I'd been needing over this beautiful spot in the nearby savannah that was just across from my base. It was a little bit uneven, so I had to create a new flattened area and tie it up a little. But once I'd done that, it was onwards from there with the grind for more resources. So I started to collect up some endstone, some cherry blossom leaves, lots of wheat from Alex's wheat farm that he let me use, and then finally I collected up some mud, and then finished off with some more wood harvesting and crafting. Now, I had contemplated long and hard on what I actually wanted to design and build for this episode, but after some various different iterations, I finally settled on a new farmland barn design, since I thought that would fit in really well with this area. I'm really proud of what I ended up coming up with, and yes, I do say this a lot, but I did spend a lot of time trying to get something that I was truly happy with. So, since I was finally ready, I then jumped back on in and kicked off the next session of building. Hope you enjoy the time lapse. And there we have it, a few hours later, and at least the barn itself is now fully built and complete, so let me know down in the comments what you think. But it doesn't end there, we may have all the space we need inside, but outside we really need to add in some more detailing to this place to really make it pop and feel more like an active farm. So I started to build in these street lamps, and then added in this little horse cart to start shipping stuff to and from the barn. I will at some point actually need to find some real horses to attach to it, but for now this will have to do. And then finally I added in this small pulley system for unloading the cart into the barn to make it easier for any of the farm workers. Making things like carts on this scale is actually really hard, and it did actually take me quite a long time. Vehicles in general require a certain scale to detail them correctly, and that in itself is always quite a challenge, but I think this time it's really come out quite nicely. And then to finally polish up the courtyard out of the front of the barn, I then moved on to start making this custom cherry blossom tree, and added in a small little hanging swing so that you can sit back and take in all the mountain scenery from afar. Now that we had detailed in the courtyard area, I started to think about item storage once again. My plan originally was that the barn would house the majority of items that we'd want to store, but there was actually one thing still missing from this, and that was bulk storage, since there are some items like dirt, stone, cobblestone, etc. that you typically need to store a lot of. So I got to work and started building out some bulk storage silos to remove the need to clutter up all the storage in the barn itself, but also add to the whole barn area itself. I decided just to build the 3 silos, and for now they are actually empty inside, and in a future episode I will populate them with some redstone silo item storage, but right now I'm fast running out of time for this current episode, so with the little time that I had left, I then went on to do some terraforming of the landscape around the barn, and then went on to start hoeing the ground and planting in a load of wheat fields. Once planted, I started building out a small dirt track road that winds from the barn farmland itself down to the area by our little starter hut that I made in the past, and then down onto the bridge crossing the gorge. And for the final little details, I then bone mailed up the area for some extra grass and added in some hedgerows to add some transition from the wheat plantation and the barn area itself. And just like that, we had completed this new farmland barn and surrounding area. It's a build that will be vital to our base to store and organise all items and make it easier than ever to continue expanding onwards with new and exciting builds in this area. In between episodes, I'm going to be doing a lot of work to remove that chest monster that we saw earlier from our starter area and get it moved on into the new storage. Perhaps I'll make a little short of the time lapse if that's something you'd like to see. But one thing's for sure, this build journey has actually shaped it to be one of my biggest ones yet, and certainly one of the most fun ones. I've never actually created a farmland area before in Minecraft, so it was a fun project to complete. And we really have made so much progress, and there really is plenty, probably more, that we could add and do in the future, but as things go for now, I'm pretty happy with what we've done here. But I think for now that's all we really have time for, so with that in mind, I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, then make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. But until next time, I will see you later. Bye bye.